you for the introduction, and thanks to Selftrade for being able to present here today justETF, my website, and to tell you more about how you can make the most out of ETF investing. Well, justETF is a platform that we founded in Germany in 2011, and we are now, since the beginning of this year, also in the UK, providing information, tools, and education around ETFs for retail clients. So when you're on our website, you find an easy-to-use online ETF portfolio tool that would help you to invest with ETFs. You'll find an ETF screener that gives you the chance to compare ETFs with each other, and you will also find an academy which gives you practical know-how around investing with ETFs. So we are ourselves not a broker. We are not giving any advice. We are purely a platform that is giving you guidance on how you can become a better investor. We put you in the driver's seat and give you all the tools so you can make the best decision around ETF investing. Now, we are solely focusing on ETFs. And why do we do that? Because we think ETFs are perfect building blocks for your portfolio. Well, you've heard already a lot about the advantages of ETFs, but I quickly will go through them with you too. So you see also our perspective. So there's this one-to-one replication of an index that ETFs are doing, which makes it a predictable product. Taking the FTSE 100, if it's increasing 10%, then your ETF will also increase in value by 10%. The same also applies, of course, for the opposite direction. If it falls 10%, then your ETF also falls 10%. That is unlike with mutual funds, but that's also a big advantage because that makes it really useful if you want to be your own wealth manager and set up a portfolio where you need this predictability. Then ETFs allow you with just one trade, again the FTSE 100, to invest in these 100 companies that are making up the FTSE 100. That's something you can also do without needing to pay stamp duties in the UK when you trade on the LSE. Now, easy to trade means also that you can trade the ETFs during market opening hours at any time. So you don't rely on one specific point in time, like with mutual funds, to trade these products, which gives them a lot of flexibility, also again in the portfolio sense. But just like mutual funds, ETFs are regulated under the UCITS regulation, which is one of the strictest regulations in the world for investment schemes, making them also in that perspective safe if in regards to the fund company running your product. And ETFs are transparent. You can look at the index and its constituents and you know what you're invested in. Or you can go to the ETF provider website and will find there the list of the constituents on a daily basis, which is also unlikely for any mutual fund around there. And last but not least, probably the most intriguing attribute of ETFs is their low cost, which make them such a favorable product. So you can invest into benchmark ETFs like the FTSE 100, the S&P 500, or the DAX for less than 10 basis points management fee per year. That's equivalent if you have a £1,000 investment. That's just below £1 per year you're paying the ETF provider to manage this portfolio for you. Now there are 825 ETFs listed today on the LSE, and they really make markets accessible to you, asset classes as well. So you can invest with them into equity, bonds, commodities, real estate, and the money market. And even within these asset classes, you find ETFs on regions. You can invest in the health sector worldwide. You can invest in the health sector in Europe. You can invest into small caps. You can even invest into certain factors. Equivalent on the bond side is you can invest in corporate bonds. You can invest in government bonds worldwide, just in the UK, just in the US, for example, and also along the bandwidth of different maturities. and even inflation hedged products are available. So there is a huge landscape of products available to you for tactical and strategic asset allocation. Now, but how do you find the right ETF? And actually that all starts with your investment focus. So you've just seen a few of them. For example, you want to invest in equity in Europe, then that would be the investment focus you are looking at. And then in the next step, you wouldn't jump directly to the ETF, but you would actually go and look which indices are there that replicate my investment focus in the best way. And only when you've done this decision, you would go on and actually select an ETF. Now, the nice thing with ETFs is once you've decided on an index, you will most likely find a number of products from different product providers on that same index. So you can actually compare apples with apples at that point in time. Now, especially the index selection and the ETF selection can be quite demanding and time-consuming if you would go to every single provider website, every single index provider website, to gather the information you need to make a good decision. So that's why we've come up at justETF with investment guides, which give you on one page access to all the information you need to make your decision on the index. So what you see here is the investment guide for the UK. And actually, there are today 4 broad market indices that allow you to invest in the UK that are tracked by 19 ETFs and that cost between 7 basis points and 48 basis points management fee per year. But there are also 8 alternative indices covering mid and small caps in the UK or dividend strategies that allow you to invest in the UK. And even regional indices are around that have a high share of UK equity in them. So what we do here is actually we show you how many ETFs track the different indices. We give you a short description of the index so you understand what the index is doing, and we link the original fact sheet of the index provider for you to have it pop up and learn more about the index. Now, what you also find on that website are comparisons, return comparisons of these ETFs. And you find readily available chart comparisons. So with just one click, you can get a chart comparison on the different ETFs behind the indices. And here you see the difference in performance over the last 3 years for different indices. So investing in the UK is not always the same. You might end up with 62.8% over the 3-year period if you would have invested in the MSCI UK small cap, or with 11.8% if you would have invested in the MSCI UK large cap. So the index selection, you see, is very important in that step to determine your returns. And also this comparison will make you a better investor because you don't need to fall for the marketing phrases of the ETF provider. You can check yourself if a certain strategy has been doing better than the standard benchmark index, for example. But once you've selected on an index, you would go on and select the ETF. Now, there are a number of criteria in the marketplace that are used today by investors to select their fund. So there are general criteria, I would say, like the fund size, the fund age, the total expense ratio, but also the tracking quality of the fund. And then there are more subjective criteria, also related to your personal preference or the objective of your investment, which is liquidity of the ETF, which is the use of profit. Is it an accumulating fund or a distributing fund? It's the replication method, if you feel comfortable only with physical replication or not. and the fund domicile, as well as the listing and trading fees you might have at your broker. Now, every investor is weighting these factors differently for himself, and at the end, you will come up with an ETF selection that you would like to use to invest in ETFs. Now, how do we support this process, this three-step process with our ETF screener? That's what you see here. We have all the investment focus you can think of in that part of our ETF selector, where you can drill down, starting with the asset class, into the different investment focus that exist. You can directly jump into a specific index you would like to see all products on to analyze, or you will see, when you select an investment focus, all matching indices for that respective investment focus readily for comparison. And you find all the criteria that I've just mentioned to further filter down your selection. Now, this overview comparison just shows you the major comparison factors. Once you click on one of the names of the ETFs, you will drill down to the ETF profile and find a lot of reference data for these products. You find data on the distribution of the product, and you will also find, of course, return numbers and risk numbers for these ETFs. And having this bar on top here, chart comparisons, if it's a line chart or a bar chart or a risk and return cloud, are just one click away. Now here I brought a selection of charts with me for you. So you see, you can generate a risk return chart for your ETF selection with the bubbles indicating the size of the certain ETFs. You can generate a monthly return chart comparison in a heat map for a certain ETF selection. And you'll see on the ETF profiles charts with indication for the dividend yield since inception of the ETF or the relevant performance of the ETF. Now, I've spent the last 50 minutes to show you how ETF selection can be made much easier for you. And now I would like to turn over and talk a little bit more about portfolio investing with ETFs. Now, ETF investing is most often linked to passive investing. So that's also what originally the products did, and that's also what investors did with them. They built buy and hold portfolios with ETFs for the long run. But ETFs are also good investment products for active strategies. So just as an example, you have a whole range of sector ETFs available which allow you to pursue sector rotation strategies, for example. So no matter what strategy you're pursuing with ETFs, we try to support your investment management process with our tool, with our do-it-yourself investing tool. Now this tool is actually designed to support your decision-making in the planning process and the execution process when you're generating the orders, and then last but not least, help you to monitor your portfolio. Now, that is taking Excel files or virtual portfolios, as you know it, from a financial website to a next level. So that is really a management information system that allows you to be in the driver's seat and become your own wealth manager. Now, looking at the planning state, we have two different ways, two different tools you can use to plan portfolios. People looking for more passive-oriented strategies, building up a global portfolio with a multi-asset strategy, they come handy with this strategy builder that we set up, which actually allows you to select among different equity strategies made up of one ETF or more ETFs, the same for the bond and the commodity space. And then, based on this index selection, we'll have a filter you the respective products, which you can use to build these global portfolios. Now, the goal of that strategy builder is to give you a portfolio that is invested in thousands of companies worldwide, and at the end will just cost you 10 to 20 basis points on a yearly basis as a management fee. Again, for a £1,000 investment, that would be an equivalent of £1 to £2 that you would spend in management fee. On the other hand, we also support the cause of anybody who wants to be active investor with ETFs and has made up his own ideas how he wants to invest. Now, there we have created a professional planning mode which allows you exactly to do that. Now, here I brought with me a screenshot of our professional planning mode. And what we tried to do here is really put a strong emphasis on transparency. So when you plan an ETF portfolio, you should know what are the costs on a portfolio level if I set up a number of ETFs to a portfolio. You should know what the historical returns have been, which we provide here in the historic simulation based on the portfolio level, but you can also look at the returns based on the asset class level that is in your portfolio, or even on the single ETFs, and compare that to certain benchmarks as you please. And that also for different time periods, in line charts, bar charts, risk return charts, or in a table view. You may also adjust your portfolio. You can add ETFs. You can take out ETFs of your portfolio. You can adjust the weightings, and the analytics will instantly update. We also made sure that you have the transparency on all the competing products. So with our switch button, you can see with one click all the competing products on the same index. And that way, overrule maybe your decision for a specific ETF. Now, once you've decided on your individual strategy, you can go on and the system will generate you automatically an order list with up-to-date quotes, which you can take and execute at any bank or any broker you like. So what it also does is it helps you to figure in your cost for investing into these products. We heard it before, total cost of ownership is really the thing, the cost measure you should look at. And here you can do the check if the trades you're planning to do are really economical, also from point of view of the order fees. Now, all these transactions are virtually booked within our system, and you can change them at any point later on and edit them as you please. But these transactions are the basis for our portfolio analytics that we provide to you. So these analytics are chart analytics, so you can analyze your portfolio in line charts and bar charts. Here I brought with me a portfolio where you see stocks in red, gold in yellow, and bonds in blue. And it really gives you a good impression where the risk lies within your portfolio. And again, you have the chance to benchmark it against other portfolios, virtual portfolios you've created. You can use any ETF from our database to benchmark against your portfolio. What these virtual transactions also allow us to do is to split up the return you receive in price change and dividend. Because what we actually do in the background is all the distributions that you get in your funds, we'll automatically book that within our system into your portfolio, so you really get the full picture of what your portfolio has returned for you. And we will also send a monthly update on the development of your portfolio. Now, besides these analytics, will also give you the chance, based on these transactions, to monitor your portfolio. So what we do and what we like to do is that you keep your risk profile over the long run. So we automatically set for you investment limits of a bandwidth around your strategic allocation and monitor that on a daily basis. So if due to market movements your portfolio gets off track, the system will inform you, and then you have the chance to do with just a few clicks a rebalancing of your portfolio. And that it's actually that the system will generate you another order list with the transactions you need to bring your portfolio back in line. For professional investors, we allow to set the bandwidth at will. We also give you the opportunity to set thresholds for your portfolio or certain positions that you would like to monitor. So there is also where the management process circle closes. So we've covered the planning, we've covered how we support you in the order process, and now how we can help you in the monitoring. And actually, that is an ever-revolving process, right? So whenever you do changes within your portfolio, you'll do that with a planning mode. We'll tell you what transactions you have, what you need to buy, what you need to sell, and you execute that at your broker, and the system automatically updates, and you're back in to monitor your portfolio. Now, I hope I was able to show you that ETF investing gets even better with the right tools and really puts you in the driver's seat. And for our tool, we have a freemium model set up. So actually, you can go on our website and use a large part of the information and tools that you've seen for free, especially to set up one portfolio. So that includes the planning, the order list, the ETF screener and all the comparisons, also the investment guides, and simple portfolio analytics that you all get for free. We packaged the comfort function into a premium package, which starts at £9.90 per month. And that's the portfolio simulation functionality. That's the 24/7 monitoring with the easy rebalancing function, detailed return and attribution analysis, as well as benchmark and portfolio comparisons that you will get. Now, for professional users and IFAs, this package is a little bit more expensive, which comes in at £69 per month. And the premium package is there to be used with up to 5 portfolios. So no matter if you're really tracking your investments, real investments, or if you're just doing investment strategies on the paper, the system will allow you to do that. So actually, that was my presentation, and I herewith want to invite you to come and stop by at justETF Co. UK later on today and start with your first ETF portfolio. Thank you very much for your attention.